Morning, everybody. All right, I want to show you something about your strength training. If you're at home, you might be doing a lot of push-ups, a lot of squats, especially if you don't have access to a gym right now or a lot of equipment. Those are great movements. I'm not suggesting that you ditch them, but what I want to show you is that sometimes if you rely exclusively on a bilateral movement where you're doing both sides at the same time, you can develop a little bit of an imbalance. And so what you need to do is unilateral movement where you are being sure that you're actually placing the same amount of stress on both sides, right? And this is a little counterintuitive because you might think, well, I'm doing a push-up. I mean, I'm just doing the push-up and it's evened out. Like I'll bet I would notice if I was shifting way over to one side and I'm just going straight up and down. In my experience, you think that you are distributing that 50-50, but it's really, really hard to know that, right? And I think what is more likely the case is you're probably distributing, 55-45 or 60-40, and you don't even really know it. And then what happens is that imbalance just continues to reinforce itself, and then you could end up with back stuff, shoulder stuff, neck stuff, just because you are going to end up pulling things more in one direction than the other. So squats, push-ups, being bilateral, you're probably not as balanced as you think. Let's start to get some other movements into your strength routine that are unilateral, and that way we're sure we're addressing any kind of imbalances that are coming up. Okay, so I want to take you through two movements today that you could replace your squat, your push-up for a little while with these, or you could just sprinkle them in. All right, so the first one is a lunge. So I'm going to go back here, and I want to show you a couple of finer points on the lunge. You probably already understand what a lunge is, right? You're going to step either forward or back. They hit you a little different way, so it's good to do both. Well, let's say I'm going to step out forward, and now I'm going to drop my back knee down. Now, it is good to be in a little bit of hip extension when you do a lunge, right? So you don't actually want this knee to be right underneath your hip. You want to come out a little bit and have the knee back. Now, when you come up, what you're going to do is drive through the heel of this standing foot. Don't see if you find that the weight is up on your toes, then your knee's not going to like that over time and over a lot of reps. So you're going to go here when you drive your heel in, activating this hamstring and your butt, getting those big muscles doing what they're supposed to do. So I drive my heel into the ground, push myself back up, or you could do a lunging walk, right? So from here, I could also drive myself up and then step out on the other side, walking, alternating legs, stepping forward, stepping back. All of those variations are good with the lunge. And if we're talking about body weight stuff, if you do kind of a 3 sets of 10 sort of thing, I think that's pretty sufficient, especially if you're like a lot of us are just kind of in a maintenance sort of phase right now, waiting for everything to come back to normal. So that is good. Okay, I want to show you the other thing is a one-arm plank. You can't go from push-up to one-arm push-up unless you're somebody who does a bazillion push-ups all the time. So you probably want to go to a one-arm plank. Doing it on the ground also is very tough. So an incline one-arm plank is a good exercise. I'm going to show you a couple things about it. You're here. You're going to stay squared. Now, think about Rocky doing his one-arm push-ups. What he would do is turn, right? And his feet turn and his hip turn, and he's kind of doing this. What I want you guys to do is to stay squared, all right? And then, so that means shoulders are square to the bench, and you're going to put this hand against your side, and you're just going to hold that one-arm plank. And you practice that for a while. Maybe you come down to the floor. You can do some switches. You could do some little pulses, just unlocking the elbow and then locking it again. If you want to try one-arm push-up this way, start way, way up on the stairs. Even the 4th or 5th step is pretty tough if you do it right. If you want to add difficulty, like if you had just a bench and not stairs, good way to add difficulty is just bring your feet in a little bit, right? So this is harder than this, for example, all right, here. So I want you guys to take those two, take a little lunge, and a one-arm plank slash push-up, but for most of us it's just going to be a plank, and add that into what you're doing, and just understand that concept of unilateral training. Barbell training, which is very fun, and is very attractive to a lot of people, especially your kind of meatheads who want to lift a whole lot of weight. And I say meatheads lovingly, and I guess I'll count myself in that group to some extent. That barbell, one fixed piece, very attractive. But again, I press that up. I probably got a little more going on one side than the other, relying more on one side than the other without knowing it. Get a couple dumbbells in your hands. Now you can't do that, right? Now this hand has to be responsible for the same amount as this other hand. And so watch out for exercises where you can bias one side without knowing it. It's not that you shouldn't do those, but definitely work some of the other ones in too. All right, nice job.